everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. If you are new, my name is Shannan. I am a mum of two. I have a 7-month-old and a 3-year-old, both boys. I thought today I would sit down and just kind of chat to you about the things that I've found have helped me and helped us as a family adjust to being a family of 4. I thought I'd just sit down and I've written a few notes of things that I just think have helped us from pregnancy right through till now. Like I said, I've got 2 boys, Buzz, who is my 3-year-old, and Otis, who is my 7-month-old, and I can hand on heart say they are incredible separately, together. Like, their relationship together is definitely already there. They love each other, you can so clearly see that, and it's just the best feeling in the world. So if you are currently pregnant and are expecting your second or subsequent, I mean, if it's subsequent, you've been here, you know it, you know the drill. But if you're expecting your second and you're worried about how it's gonna go, like, trust me, it's hard. It is really, really hard, but nothing beats the feeling of like just seeing your 2 little ones together, holding hands or having a cuddle or making each other laugh. It is just the best, and I can only imagine it's just going to get better and better. So yeah, try not to worry because it is so worth the hard time. Firstly, I'm just going to start with when I was pregnant. When I was pregnant, we spoke a lot about the baby. I did wait for quite a while to tell him because obviously you never know what could happen. So once things had started to get a bit further along and it was all kind of going as it should, and you know, confidence was growing in that, you know, this baby was gonna be here and we were gonna become a family of 4, I ordered a few books. I got them off Vinted, but you can obviously get them from bookshops, Amazon, things like that. I got basically a good few books, about 5 books about becoming a big brother or about a baby joining the house and things like that, and I would kind of read them on and off during bedtimes here and there, or just have them out, flick through them. At this stage, when I was pregnant, Buzz wasn't really into books all that much. He really is now. Like, every night he loves stories, but he wasn't really back then, so it was kind of not something that was fully appreciated by him. But if your little one does like a book, then I think it's a really good way to just start getting them used to the idea of like a little one joining the family. And obviously these books are written to help that process. If we went shopping ever for like baby bits, we'd, you know, say, oh, which one do you prefer, which colour, which this, which that, you know, get him involved. And then when Otis was here, be like, oh, do you remember you chose this one? Things like that. Just getting them involved from a really early stage, making them feel important and special, I really think helped us. The first meeting, so I was hoping to have Otis at home. Buzz was a home birth and it was incredible. However, we moved area this time around, and our local area doesn't have a home birth team, so we were going for a home birth, but it was very like unlikely because it had to be between a certain small window of time that there might be community midwives available, and if you don't give birth before they have to clock off, then you have to go into hospital, which is what happened with us. So it was still an incredible birth. We went into the sanctuary and it was lovely. I still got my water birth. I did vlog both my births, so if you are new to this channel and you are interested in that kind of thing, I will link them below. But that does mean, yeah, because we went into hospital, we were away from home. So Buzz went and had a sleepover with his friend, which is the first time he's ever done that, like, without us. So that was a big deal. I think in retrospect, I would have probably have liked to have done that once before with that friend, maybe, just so it wasn't like so much change going on at once for him, because yeah, it's really hard to plan for a second child's birth, especially like we don't have family around and things, so we were really like not sure what we were going to do, like if we didn't get the home birth and the childcare and all of that stuff. It was a bit like up in the air. But I do think whatever your plan is for when you go and give birth to the baby, like, I think generally a lot of people obviously have grandparents who will have their kids often, so they're just going to stay with them and it's like no biggie. But if you don't have that and your kid doesn't regularly stay away from you, which Buzz definitely doesn't, like he hasn't really at all, then maybe do like a test run, get them used to it, because I think that's one thing that I kind of wish we'd done differently. I mean, it was fine, he had the best time, but just him coming back, he obviously was like really excited to see us and like, oh my gosh, where have I just been? And then, oh my gosh, there's a baby here. Like, it was probably a lot, but you know, we learn from these things. And yeah, he was absolutely fine, but just, I think if I could have done that, I would. We got Buzz to choose a present for his new baby that was coming, and we also bought Buzz a present from the baby, which obviously he didn't know about until Otis was here, and we said, look what he bought you, and he got him some cars, and he was well happy with that. Because I think, again, it like, you don't have to do this, and it doesn't have to be a big expense. It could literally just be like a drawing or whatever, but again, I think it's always going to sweeten the deal a little bit if the baby turns up and he's brought a gift for your existing kid or something that they really love, because they're going to think he can stick around. We got back home like an hour or so before Buzz then came and got dropped back to us, so I made sure that Otis, the baby, was in his Moses basket. I was kind of there, sat down, waiting for Buzz to come in, and he came running over to me, gave me a big cuddle. He was all excited. We had our like time, and then I was like, have you seen who's over there? And we went over together and we looked in the basket, and I was like, this is your brother, this is your baby, because I'd kind of seen things, and I don't know how much it really affects things, but it kind of made sense to me and was something that I wanted to do, was that if they walked in the room and you're holding the baby, they don't feel like they can easily get to you, or if they do run and jump at you, you're going to straight away be like, oh, be careful, because you've got this brand new baby. So I kind of read that having them in like a neutral place where they can go and look and come away and come and give you a cuddle, like the baby doesn't know, the baby's fine, especially if the baby's sleeping and like obviously not fussing, then yeah, that kind of seemed to work well, where we could go and look at him, and I was like saying, oh, look at his hands, look at this, look at that, and he was like slowly getting used to him. And then, you know, a few minutes later, 10 minutes later, whatever, we sat on the sofa and I was like, should we get him out, should we all have a cuddle together? And then, you know, he said yeah, and that was like when they first kind of had a cuddle and things. But obviously each their own, it's not always going to be possible, like if the baby needs feeding at that time or whatever, but that worked for us, and I felt like that did give Buzz that kind of equal level. I didn't want him to walk in after he'd been away from us, which was unusual for him already, and then my mum is like consumed by this new baby and I can't get to her. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, I read it, it made sense to me, so that's something that we did. Nothing, like not one single thing can prepare you for how grown up your first child will suddenly seem. Like Buzz was 2.5, he seemed huge, like he just grew up overnight. Like I felt like I not lost my baby, he will always be my baby, but he, do you know what I mean, like it just, bringing this new baby into the house, like he suddenly seemed so grown up, and like I'd not been away from him for long. I couldn't comprehend how huge Buzz felt, and like just grown up, and he just seemed like a new child, and it was weird. Like I feel like that was almost more of a shock to me than the new baby I just brought into the world, because I just was holding him and I was like, you don't feel the same, like you, I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing. Let me know if you've had 2 or 3 or whatever. Did you get that? Did you feel like your babies that you already had were just suddenly just not babies? And nothing prepared me for that, because I felt like I kind of, I don't know, that's like a big change in itself. In the first kind of weeks and things that we found worked was to try and treat both little ones the same. I mean, I say the same, obviously they have very different needs and you can't treat them the same, but what I mean by that is kind of, I would speak to Otis the same way I spoke to Buzz, when Buzz could hear me. So if I had walked into the room and they both needed me at the same time, I wouldn't always make Buzz wait. I would quite often make Otis wait more, because as long as he was safe in his Moses basket, I knew he was fed, happy and everything, he could be okay there for a couple of minutes while I saw to what Buzz needed. I felt like if I gave all my attention to the baby all of the time, which naturally he does need me more, so that is going to naturally happen at some points too, but I just felt like if I could make that decision, I would rather make Otis the baby wait rather than Buzz, because I didn't want him to feel like this new baby's come along, I've been the centre of like everyone's world for this long, and now all of a sudden I'm being told to wait constantly. Obviously that's a natural lesson to learn, and we did make him wait for things sometimes, like I feel like you should anyway, and that as well is something I should have mentioned before. I definitely started doing that in pregnancy, because I think when you are just kind of at home with your little one, it's very natural to just, you know, you see what they need, they tell you what they need, and you can just do it instantly. So in pregnancy I was really conscious to like be like, okay, well, I'm just going to do this first and then I'll do that. And I'll, you know, just made an effort to not do everything instantly, because I didn't want that to be a huge shock when the baby came, that why can I not get this straight away? Do you know what I mean? Again, this stuff probably goes without saying. When in those first few weeks, and even now, like, I will quite equally say to each one of them, like, oh wait, oh, I'm just gonna go and see what Buzz needs first, Otis, like, and making sure Buzz could hear me say that to Otis. Oh, okay, it's not just me that's being told to wait, Otis has to wait sometimes too, and oh, it's not unfair because we're both getting treated that way. Do you know what I mean? Secondly, just they will naturally quite often, I guess, become your little helper. It is helpful. Well, I found it helpful. I suppose not all toddlers be helpful, but Buzz is actually really good and really helpful. And it makes him feel so special and important. When I'm changing a nappy, I'm like, oh, Buzz, please would you grab me the nappy and wipes? Or even if I literally, all I have to say now is, oh, Otis has done a poo, and he's like, nappy and wipes, and he'll go off and get them. Like, he's so helpful. And he'll sit there and he'll talk to him while I'm doing it, or he'll talk to me and say, oh, like, he'll comment on what's like the situation, and he'll be like, right, okay, let's go and wash our hands now. Like, he's very involved, and I think he feels like he's kind of on my level, and you know, we're both grown-ups together, which obviously he's not, but it's so lovely that he doesn't resent these things. He's not like, oh, mum's making me do this. Like, he feels important and he's encouraged, and yeah, he feels like a big boy, and that's obviously kind of working for us all. In the first weeks as well, I tried to not have big reactions about things. So if I was holding Otis and Buzz came and jumped over and like wobbled me, as long as no one got hurt, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, like, because I didn't want to scare him. I didn't want him to feel like he couldn't come near me and he couldn't go near the baby, because I do want him to be able to, you know, touch his brother and to give me a cuddle and to feel involved and to not feel like, I don't know, not feel free. Obviously, if things aren't safe, I will tell him. But so obviously, I just try to kind of encourage the right behavior and being gentle and being kind and being nice and quiet, and like whispering's become like a little game that we do. Like if Otis is asleep on me, you know, Buzz will come over and whisper and he feels like it's our little game and things like that. I think you can kind of get your message across of keeping everyone safe and what we can and can't do, but without causing a big scene about it. Obviously, if he was about to jump on him, I remember like when Otis was about a week old, Buzz gave him a Cheerio, and I didn't freak out, but I was like, absolutely not, like, he cannot have food. And we started this thing like, Buzzy has food, Mummy has food, Daddy has food, and Otis has, and he'd always go, Milkies, just Milkies. And sorry if I looking around all the time. I keep filming in front of a window because it's like the best natural light, but then I feel like I'm just constantly looking out the window because there's loads of birds and stuff and I'm not looking at you guys. But yeah, he just always says, oh, just Milkies, just Milkies. Obviously now Otis is 7 months, he is weaning, so we've kind of got the new things of that where it's confusing for Buzz, you know, oh, but you said he can eat, so why can't I give him this, you know. So that's like a whole new thing. But in those first weeks, yeah, just being, I think just trying to be quite calm, setting boundaries, but not in a way that's going to freak them out, because they're toddlers, like their emotions are going to be all over the place already, let alone with this huge life thing. And that is something I will say. Buzz never did anything ever to hurt Otis intentionally or to lash out at him. He never did anything to him. Like, he was good as gold with Otis from day one, which I know isn't always the case. But Buzz, for the first 2 weeks, like literally 2 weeks to the dot, was a different child. Like, he is not a tantrumy kid. We're really lucky. Obviously that can change at any point, but he is really, I think his communication's good, and so he doesn't get frustrated, and so he just, I don't know, he just doesn't tantrum. I could count on one hand how many tantrums he's kind of had, but in those 2 weeks he was like so emotional, and you'd ask him to do something, and or you'd, no, I don't know, you'd just say, right, okay, should we go to the park, and he'd be, ah! Like, it would just cry over like the weirdest things, or it seemed weird, but obviously he was just dealing with a lot of change, and I think that is so normal, and that is something that I wasn't prepared for. And in those first 2 weeks, I remember I said to Ollie, like, what have we done to Buzz? Like, we have rocked his world, and he's so like not himself, and I just felt guilty and things. But after that 2 week mark, it just snapped back and he was back to being himself, loving his new life as a big bro. And yeah, so just hang in there. Obviously in those first couple of weeks your hormones are going to be wild, you know, no one's getting any sleep, like it's a lot, so just hang in there. It does get better, and I know if you're in the thick of it, like you're gonna be like, shush, like I don't need to hear you saying that right now, I just need a good night's sleep. But trust me, it does get better. Something else we've done since Otis has been around is making sure that we both have one-on-one time with each little one. So if Otis is napping, quite often I will try and use that time to get stuff done, like housework and things, because you will soon see if both you're like, I don't know, I just feel like it is hard when you've just got one. When they sleep you can do stuff, but when you've got two, or you can sleep, but when you've got two you can't sleep when they sleep because you've got the other one to look after, and also you need to get stuff done. So I do try and find a mixture of getting stuff done, involving Buzz when I'm getting stuff done, if he wants to be involved. If he wants to just play with his toys, then obviously just play with your toys. But yeah, sometimes I don't do things. I literally just sit and say, right, what toys should we get out? And I'll use that time to get out things that aren't as easy to do when Otis is around. So, you know, like kinetic sand, or little games with little pieces, or things like that, puzzles that really do require me sitting with him and playing with him. And then when Otis is up, we'll do different types of playing with things that Otis can join in, or, you know, it's not crazy if I step away and have to do something, like Buzz can happily play with that stuff on his own. It is all just finding a balance and finding your own little groove of what works. But yeah, definitely just giving them time. Buzz has recently started swimming lessons, which is something that I've wanted him to do for ages, but we just hadn't got round to it because, I don't know, one reason or other, we hadn't got round to it. But we have now, yeah, he's done 3 lessons now, and I cannot tell you what a difference that has made to his and Ollie's relationship, like him and his dad. Because they are the ones that go to swimming, and Buzz is very, very like on me, like he loves Ollie, and they do a lot together, those two. Like they'll go out and do jobs together, or they'll pop to the shop, or they'll do this, like they do go out a lot. Like Ollie will take him to the park sometimes one-on-one, but swimming has really brought them really close together. I can't explain it. He's just a lot more, he just seemed, and maybe it's just a natural thing that would have happened anyway, but he really seems to be like happy to chill with Ollie a lot more. Like if I was upstairs doing this, he would be like wanting to come up to me, whereas now he's just sat down there giving Ollie a cuddle. And yeah, I just feel like that bonding has like really worked for them. And also it's great because it means I'm at home with Otis, who naps at that time, and I can do housework without Buzz really like knowing about it because he's off doing something else fun. Equally, I have started taking Buzz for his haircuts because that's something that had got tricky for him. He didn't like getting his hair cut, and I tried a couple of times to take him with Otis as well, and it didn't really work. Even if Otis was asleep, it was just, I don't know, he freaked out. But the second I started taking him, right, Buzz, let's me and you go out, just us two, we'll walk out, and it'll be like dark because we'll walk, you know, in the evening when Ollie's working from home, and he can watch Otis like after he's finished work. So it'll be dark walking into town, and I'll be like, right, okay, we'll go and get a haircut, and then we'll go to the shop and we'll choose a special treat. And I think just having just me and him time, he really like thrived from that. And the haircut was automatically like less traumatic because he just saw it as a fun trip out with me and him. So yeah, it's all just like a mind game with toddlers, isn't it? It's like figuring out what works and how best to make them feel comfortable in a situation. But yeah, definitely one-on-one time with both parents and both kids really has been a huge part of it for us. Lastly, I feel like I've been waffling on for absolutely ages, but lastly I will just say, you do feel more confident as a second-time parent, or I definitely did. With Buzz, I was so anxious about everything. I was constantly worried about everything, and like trying to listen to everyone's advice, which soon you realise is so contradictory. You'll listen to Susan up the road's advice, Bill next door's advice, and Sheila from Tesco's. You'll listen to all their advice, and then you're like trying to follow it all, but then you realise, oh, actually what Bill and Sheila said is completely different, and how can I follow both? I need to just, you know, you have to just use your own instinct in the end. And I think with your second, you definitely do just trust yourself. You've done it before, you're doing a great job. Like, it is a lot easier, I find, mentally. So yeah, that's a good bonus. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please do give it a thumbs up. If you are expecting your second, then good luck, you have got this. It is tough. Like, I definitely did find the transition from 1 to 2 harder than from 0 to 1, but the conditions that we did it in are so different as well. Like, when we had Buzz, it was COVID, like it was very, very different. Like, we were able to just be in, chill, sleep. Ollie was around a lot more. Now it's like completely different life. So yeah, it did hit me harder, but it is incredible. It is so magical seeing them together. So yeah, don't you worry, you have got this. And yeah, if you've got any advice, if you are a parent of 2 or more, let me know below your top tips, and let everyone else know. If you leave them below, go and read them, and I will see you very, very soon for another video. Bye guys. Mwah.